D Media presents the #1 late night talk show in the entire metaverse. Covering everything you need to know in the night's realm. You're watching The Night Shift. And now, your host, Chigoman Porto and the Knights of Djinn.
What's up, Knights of Djinn? How you doing? Guys, I can't wait to the day that ends and I'm walking out and the live music, like there's a band over here, and I'm just doing this move, right? And like moonwalking out. Too far? Guys, excited? We got Silks coming on. We're going to talk about the new partnership with them, talk about the project. If you were able to jump in on the Twitter spaces yesterday, I mean, just so much of it caught my attention, and I've got so many questions. You know me. I want to get as many answers as possible so I know what the heck we're talking about. But you know what? I want to touch on some of the stuff going on in the Djinn Tavern, guys. Did you see some of the announcements? Like, for instance, can we talk about the fact that it's officially here? We've got the Djinn Haze, our partnership with Saucy Brewworks. Guys. For a second, let's just look at that. I mean, even if I don't drink haze, beer, ale, which I don't, all right? I'm a Crown and Coke guy. How you doing? This right here makes me want to order just the entire thing just so I can have it on the shelf or right here in the background so it looks good on camera when I'm hanging out with everybody on Wednesday nights. Djinn Haze, guys, you have a whole week. I believe the cutoff is September 15th. Get in the Discord. You've got the link in there. You got all the information you need so you can get your order in for this limited run. Super excited. We are going to have our own Djinn Haze while we hang out and watch the night shift right in time for football season. Come on. Now, guys, other updates we can talk about. We can jump into all that. But I want to jump in to the Silks conversation because, like I said, after that Twitter Spaces yesterday, I'm just left with so many questions. Want to know exactly how it works, what we're doing, real life horse stuff. I mean, just so much going on, which sounded super exciting. And I believe we've got our guest backstage. Let me make sure he can hear me back there. Hey, Troy, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, Troy, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you, man. I heard they you had the Google link, but not the actual StreamYard link. So I'm glad we were able to get that fixed in time.
I appreciate that the crew helped me out. You know, I'm just a horseman, so technology's passed me by, believe me.
I hear you. Well, you know, I appreciate making time to hang out with us. I know the community was really interested after the announcement came out yesterday, and you know, I've got the link here to share with everybody. Let me pop that in the chat. You guys in the chat, here's the link. So you can actually go see dedicated link for Night of Djinn, the mint price there for us. We'll jump into all that information for you guys. So Troy, man, while you're here, I would love to know how this all came together and how you even got into this project. So before Silks even happened, how did you get into the whole horse racing world? And let's start there.
Absolutely. So I've been in the racehorse business over 35 years. Started out as a young kid. Touched a horse when I was 13. Couldn't get enough. Used to live at Yonkers Raceway. When I was 17, 18 years old, I was the youngest New York State trainer. And just absolutely loved the business. Stayed in there, had a family. Took a detour, started working in the financial arena, became a broker, 24, bought a little piece of a firm, day traded proprietary money, investment banking, and all that good stuff. And throughout that whole time, always was involved in the racehorse business as a gambler and or as a horse owner and trader. So kids got older, decided to do it full time, and started Tropical Racing about 5.5 years ago. It was just going to be a local syndicate. I was just going to buy horses and sell pieces of them in South Florida. And I guess the investment banking came into play, and I started seeing trends in the marketplace. Started seeing casinos popping up within racetracks, sports betting, or parlors attaching themselves to racetracks. Started seeing purses going up. Started seeing valuations of horses going up, inventory going down, and I just thought it was an absolute perfect fit to, I don't want to say exploit a niche market, but really get involved. So left Florida, bought a 200-acre farm in Kentucky, turned it into a training center, went from 5 horses to close to 85 horses now. We'll own about 120 horses probably by the end of next year. And, knock on wood, doing really, really well in the real world of horse racing. And talking about the game of silks, I just spoke at the Saratoga Gaming Conference a couple of weeks ago, and the same question was asked, how did this idea came? And, this idea was brewing for 30 years. In the racehorse industry, we always said, how do we make this racing industry better? How do we bring in new participants? How do we bring in a younger generation? And the idea the answer wasn't a younger generation, it was a culture. And this culture now, with blockchain and the metaverse and NFTs, this is the culture that absolutely is the perfect client or participant in the real life racehorse business. And that's what we're doing. We're literally taking, the racehorse industry, and we're plopping it into the metaverse and turning everything into NFTs and letting people participate in this great game.
That's awesome. So I could take a step back here, because obviously we both have taken that typical New Yorker route. So you mentioned Yonkers Racecourse. I grew up in Riverdale and in the Bronx, so I'm very familiar with Yonkers Racecourse. All right.
Absolutely.
And then you headed to South Florida. I did the same thing. I did the Fort Lauderdale routine. I went to Coral Springs for a little bit, and then my Cuban side wanted me to check in Miami for a couple of years, so I had to make sure I covered that as well. What was the biggest thing that drew you away from Florida? Because I don't see many people leaving New York, going to Florida, then coming back to New York. I mean, usually we get there and we stay there.
Yeah, it's funny. So there's so much. So again, Yonkers, not too far away from the Bronx.
Right.
I lived in Coral Springs Parkland for 25 years. So I know that industry real well. My daughter lived in Fort Lauderdale. My son lives in Miami now. So we got the parallels. So horse racing, period. End of discussion, is the only thing that brought me to Kentucky. We still have a residence in Florida. We train and race horses in Florida still to date. We got about 10 horses there. But we got 75 in Kentucky, and the money's here. It's beautiful. And like I said, the only reason we're here is for racing.
Oh, that makes sense. I mean, especially if you're doing a project like Silks, I mean, it's kind of nice to have somebody that loves horses the way you do and has an understanding of it. You've obviously been around it forever. You said 35 plus years. So let's jump into Silks then. So, I mean, obviously now you decide this is a great onboarding. What is it about this project that really got so creative? Because, I mean, hearing the stuff on Twitter Spaces yesterday, you're talking about it attaches to real life horses. So can we kind of break down a little bit of how the whole Silks process actually works? There's Troy. We got a camera. Hey,
there we go. Again, I could easily explain everything that we do in the racing industry, and we're mirroring the real world of horse racing. That's what makes Silks such a great project, is that the reason why people are in the racing industry is that you can literally put as much time as you possibly can to get an advantage in the racing industry. And that's by studying bloodlines and even handicapping, watching races. And I can go on, and you could do the same thing strategically in the game of Silks to find a better racehorse, to find the ability to, take a horse that someone might, that's not doing as well, let's just say, but you believe later on it's going to do well, and take advantage of that scenario in the real world. You could turn the racing industry, the syndicate department, let's just say, in the game, and turn it into a real business. There is a tremendous amount of ability for people to really not only have fun, because we're doing things with the metaverse and Web 3.0 that's no one could even imagine. We're literally gonna, let's say, port you from Coral Springs or wherever you are now through the computer and bring you to Belmont Racetrack or Saratoga Racetrack and literally walk into a 3D model and have the experience of literally being at the racetrack through the computer at your house. Literally, what the reason I'm in the business is literally that thrill and the excitement of when that gate opens up, the feeling of that instant. The winning, believe it or not, isn't as much financially as it's the ability to go ahead and strategically do something better than someone else does. And we're going to be able to give you all that thrill and the excitement and the ability to make money also, literally through the game of silks. And that's what makes this project, better than anything I've ever seen. And just glad to be part of it. Taking a step back, when this idea, like I said, came through 30 years of being in the racing industry and coming up with this idea. Literally, this idea came after my son literally hounded me about NFTs and blockchain and like this is the next wave, and I was like, I'm a horseman, I have no idea what you're talking about. And sooner or later, he wore me down like most kids do, and I got offered $200,000 for a horse. And I was walking the farm one day, and I literally said, how cool would it be if we take this real live horse and attach it as a digital asset in this new world, and then attach the real world back into the digital world, and then the digital world back into the real world. And that idea just kept on playing in my head. And I couldn't figure out what to do next. And a really good friend of mine, someone from Wall Street, very successful, invested in one of Dan's companies before. And it was the Fantasy Football League based on blockchain. And they had an exit strategy and did real well. He introduced me, sat down with Dan, pitched this whole idea with him, and he got it right away. And that's how the Game of Silks really came. And with the team that he's built, from everyone from the ground floor, the vision of making this project so much bigger than anyone could ever imagine. And that's why we are where we are today. And, with the technology that we're building and the game-like fantasy feel to this, it's just a win-win.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, once we heard the Twitter spaces yesterday, and then obviously, I've been able to see what's going on behind the scenes for the last couple of weeks and working on the partnership with Knights of Degen, was really excited to see what you guys got going on. So I've got questions. I mean, obviously, right now we've got the special link, and we've got it here on the screen, and I've thrown in the chat. Anybody in the chat, if you want to click that link there, dedicated for the Knights of Degen, where we got our discount and mint and everything. So right now with the mint that we're taking part of and everything, what is it that we're minting right now? Is it the actual like jockeys themselves? Is it the horse? Just so people get an understanding there.
So the avatar itself is, when you're in the racehorse business, every owner designs their family crest, let's just say, their silks, the colors that the jockeys wear when they come onto the race, to race.
Gotcha.
So the avatar, even though it looks like a jockey and even though it's a pretty cool character, it is basically your existence in the game. It gives you the ability to go ahead and purchase horses. It gives you the ability to dress up your barn in your silks. It gives you the ability that your horse that you purchase wears your silks. So sooner or later, that those silks become your identity. The better horses that you have, people are going to remember those silks every time this horse races, because again, we're mirroring the real world. And when the race goes off in the real world, we're digitalizing it and making it with our NFT digital assets of the horses with wearing your silks, your colors, your jockey. So it's that feeling again, attaching yourself to the real
Right, right.
world. That's what this avatar is.
No, that's awesome. I mean, I was talking to a buddy earlier, asked, yeah, what's going on tonight on night shift? I was like, oh, I'm meeting with Troy from Silks, and we're talking about the project. He's like, I know a bunch of Zed people that are all in on that project. He goes, I believe one of the guys actually uses the silk that they minted as their real life silks, So just seeing that people are already catching on to it and having a buzz is really huge. So Troy, with the plot of land that you see on the website, what is that aspect of Silks? How does that get
So,
into
so
the game?
yeah, so in the very beginning, again, like any project, like any company, the first ones in and the first ones that believe in a project, we want to pay for the existence, and we want to dedicate ourselves to make sure that they feel like they're the first ones in, and they're going to be reaping all the rewards of believing in us and investing in us. So that plot of land is basically going to turn into a lot of land in, let's just say, the capital of the metaverse, or the Game of Silks metaverse, into,
Gotcha.
let's say, Main Street, or, on Park Avenue in Manhattan. Like, that's going to be the place. And throughout the existence of this game and this journey that everyone's going to go on, that plot of land is going to be special in many, many ways throughout the existence of this game. You have to get 10 acres of land to build a farm. With this, and sooner or later, you're going to have to find where there's 10 acres to attach, to go ahead and maneuver and figure out how do you get 10 acres to go ahead and to, the parcels being touching each other. This land has the ability to do it automatically. So we're basically going ahead and saying to everybody, again, the first 10,000 avatars, they're going to have the ability to have this land. This land is going to be in the capital. We're going to try, like anything else, to make it the most valuable land, and we're going to keep on throwing as many things at the original avatar owners and participants in the game as possible, to make them feel like it was well worth taking the journey from the beginning with us.
Oh, that's awesome. I've got to ask, who's the artist behind the work for you guys?
I got to tell you, Benny is the head of the product, and he is literally, his team came up and designed all of this, and it's just amazing.
Seriously, I mean, it's
Yeah,
sick. Every time I'm looking at it, I mean, there were so many times making just the graphics for tonight with you guys, and I was spending more time looking at the little characters and moving the avatars around and having fun doing it. I was like, you know what, I should get back to work. And now, but it's like looking at these like enhanced Fortnite kind of guys, which I thought looked really cool. Even the plot of land looks awesome.
and that says a lot about us and who we are, and all our people that work with the company. Um, all these little intricate details, when we wanted to come out with the avatars, like, we made sure that it's just not an NFT, that this was like a badass, really cool looking avatar that is special, that when someone sees it, they want to buy it. And you know what? Maybe people don't even want to participate in the game, but they want to own it because it looks good and the quality is there. What's amazing is, so when we started this for a very long time, and usually in a niche industry, you never want to go to your industry and start preaching of what you're doing, because they're usually the first ones to not believe in you. Let's just say that so we never went to the racing industry. We didn't market there. We didn't try to attract people from the industry. We had the philosophy that we're going to let them come to us. And what was really cool is, just recently, over the last 3-4 months, my blacksmiths will come and pull up and say, "Hey, look at this avatar that I got. I know it's you." My veterinarians, like, jockeys, exercise riders. I'll be walking into the races, and they're like, "Check this out." And now, that's when that people in that niche market is really looking forward to this. And that was the most important thing for us, is to have that pat on the back, have that, "Hey, let's go get them" kind of way, because we know you're going to not only help the racing industry, but by helping the racing industry and growing the racing industry, it's going to again help and attach to the game of silks. And that's when it's a win-win for everybody. And that's what this project's turning into.
Do you still find it hard when you're talking to those that are in that horse industry with you when it comes to the whole NFT conversation and blockchain? Is that still a big learning curve of trying to introduce that into that world?
I don't even try. You know, I get the same answer. It's like, I have no idea, but it's cool. I'm just going to do it. So,
Right.
and I'm like, listen, just do it. We'll walk you through everything. Don't worry about it. So, it is a big learning curve. You know, it's a big learning curve for me. It was a leap burning, you know, again, as many people has opened up wallets and bought NFTs, you know, we're still at the starting line with all this stuff. You know, this whole
Right.
industry is, you know, going to grow. And what's nice, and this is just again a businessman kind of talking, is that when industries run away from you, they go through corrections, you know, real estate markets, you know, technology in the stock markets, everything. And, you know, the NFT, you know, blockchain, you know, this whole industry, crypto got ran away with, and it's correcting. And what's nice is when it does correct and when it does settle, the individuals that are in it for all the right reasons, and it becomes much stronger, and it usually goes higher highs. And that's what we're seeing now. So what's nice is the people that are joining the Silks, you know, company and in the gameplay, let's just say, are doing it for all the right reasons. And the people that are now learning about the NFTs and believing about crypto and all this culture that we're believing in are doing it for all the right reasons. They're not doing, you know, to go ahead and throw a dart into something and then say, yeah, I'm making 7,000%. This is easy. People are now realizing that you do have to do your homework. You do have to go ahead and believe in something. And you know what? The rewards are still going to come. It's just going to take a little longer.
Yeah. So before I jump into some of the community questions that were submitted for you, I have one question for you. It's no secret, Troy. You can tell you love what you do. You love the horse racing industry. I mean, come on, you went Yonkers, South Florida, back to New York. So obviously,
I lived in a tack room in Yonkers. That's how much I love this game.
What are you most excited about with this Silks project? For where you stand, your position, what is the thing that really has you so excited?
What really makes me excited is, like I said, I've been in this game forever. You know, I live it, I breathe it. I work 7 days a week, every single day. I don't know when a holiday's coming. I don't know when a weekend's coming. Um, and what the game of silks and the racehorse industry is going to do for each other, I'm just so excited to see what happens. You know, um, I'll give you crazy statistics. 28,000 people own racehorses in the United States, right? It's not the biggest thing, but we also generate a $130 billion industry.
Hmm.
The Game of Silks has 25,000 plus, almost 26,000 people in the Discord.
Crazy.
If we go ahead and increase like what PokerStars did for poker and what FanDuel did for fantasy sports, where 100 million people play both of them on a daily basis. If we go ahead and do the same thing for the racing industry, we literally, as a Game of Silks, could lay that legacy for the rest of our lives. What we did for an industry that's been around for thousands of years. You know, people don't realize that the racing industry has survived every world war, has survived every depression, every recession, every bit of inflation, even COVID, and has thrived. That's what we're doing. And you know what? It's very rare in anyone's life that they can leave that legacy and that mark, you know, and that's what we're going to do. So that's what excites me the most.
I gotta say, you nailed that answer, Troy. I mean, come on, right on the spot. You were good to go. All right, so you got a couple more minutes. I got a couple community questions for you.
Listen, I'm here, so keep me going.
All right. So first, and it looks like you, based on the chat, they want to make sure you're getting your workout in. I see your team is showing up to the episode tonight, and they're asking is Troy getting his workout in. So they're making sure you're doing things the right way tonight. So first question we had was someone in the community was like, "Hey, can you find out what was it that drew Silks to partner with Knights of Degen? Where did you guys see that it was a perfect collaboration together?"
I got to give that to, the marketing team and, Discord and, everyone there. I do know that I was in a few meetings and they picked a few communities and we're like, we felt this was a really nice fit, cultural fit. And I guess they spoke with you a few times. They liked you, they trusted you, and they felt that it would be really fun. Um, as your community loves sports, we are a sport,
It just
and we're
seems to make
betting
sense,
on
right?
and we're betting on you
Sports,
guys. So
betting, horses. I mean, this is a win-win for everybody.
yeah, absolutely. So we just felt it was a great fit and fun. So we just hope your community, hops on board because you know, uh, someone asked me today. Um, about sports and betting and why I bet, why I always bet horses and never sports. And I don't want to take anything away from people who bet sports because, listen, a degenerate is a degenerate and I love it. So, but I never understood why someone wanted to bet $110 to win 100. I never grasped that philosophy where in the racehorse business, you can bet $5 to win 50,000, or you could bet, literally 20 cents to win 6 million in these pick sixes. So that always attracted me to the ability to, literally handicap and again, come up with that scenario that I could pick a horse better than someone else can and make a lot of money doing it or more money than sports betting. So I hope the community like literally realizes how great betting on horses is and living that dream because everything we're going to do from this point forward is betting on horses. It's through hopefully ownership and avatars, but sooner or later, you never know, you might start loving the idea and putting some money through the windows, which is always a great thing.
Yeah. All right. So here's another one that was thrown at us, which is always a good question I like to see when we announce partnerships. How many can you mint for the Knights of Degen with their discount in there? That was one of the questions.
You know, that's a question that I'm going to have to get back at you.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
don't
fine
know.
because I was
Yeah,
shocked I didn't know the answer.
yeah, I know that. I know it's more than one, and I doubt that there's going to be much of a limit. So,
Okay. Yeah,
if I
I
was,
was shocked. I usually know the
put
answer to that. I was like, you know what? I have no idea. Just go do it. Find out.
put it this way, people, if I was you, I'd just keep on pushing the button. You get a discount, you join in the community. You know what? Just keep on going like the slot machine. No, I'm guessing it's going to be more than one, and right around 10, because again, 10 avatars gives you 10 lots of land, which gives you the farm, and then which gives you everything else. So I'm guessing, and I'll get that answer and have the
It
marketing team
looks
get back
like
to you.
your team is in the chat. Game of Silks heard we were dropping spoilers. Said 2 avatars max per wallet.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, Game of Silks. Wait a look at that. It was like I put the bat signal out and they just popped on. It was beautiful. All right. Last one I got from the community was, and this is one of our hosts from our shows on Friday night, Doughboy. Grew up, loves everything horse racing. He was like, I was curious to find out what happens if the horse never makes the races.
Great question. So we don't have it today, but what the plan is, because when you hear the answer, you'll realize why we don't have it today. But if a horse does not race for a certain amount of time and have registered works, and let's just say no activity, we're building a Z-like second half of the future game kind of way, and we could take those horses and you can race them there, and always be able to have a value for a horse. That is one The other is if you happen to own a female horse and it never races, there's still the ability for that horse to breed in the real world. And if that's the case, you'll be just sitting, and every time that baby in the real world is sold as an NFT in our world, you'll be revenue sharing with us. So you'll be getting paid for the existence of that horse as a broodmare.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up because that was one thing we talked about on the Twitter Spaces yet. I mean, that's crazy that you're consistently off of the. I mean, do you guys have a timeline on that? Like, I mean, I don't know how many babies horses are pulling out, but you know, if you got one that's just a baby making machine, does that person continue to make a revenue share on that?
Yeah. So just to give you an example, horses as broodmares could breed literally until they're 20. You know, I believe, and I could be wrong, but Secretariat's mom was 21 years old. So horses, you know, broodmares, as long as they're healthy and they can, you know, have a baby, they'll breed. So typically, broodmare will have 12, 14 horses. So yeah, you could literally have a revenue share for the next 12, 14 years in this game, which is also again mirroring the real world where
Right.
the valuation of horses could go up even though they don't have a great racing career. And that's the cool thing is, you know, there's horses that are bought in this game that as a racehorse it might be worth $50,000, let's say, but as a broodmare it could be worth $500,000. So that's the thing, that throughout this journey that we'll all take, the learning curve and the information and education that we're going to give everyone, people will be learning this. And it's like anything else. If you do happen to really love this game and take time educating yourself, then you know what? In the very beginning of anything, you'll be able to, you know, again, maybe take advantage of certain scenarios out there where, you know, the new people are coming in later. So it's always a major advantage to go ahead and get in early on any new business as long as you think it's successful or going to be successful.
Right. Man, well, I mean, Troy, that was a couple of the questions that came up from the community. I know on my end, super excited for the partnership. And I just want to remind everybody in the chat, guys, we've got 16 hours till the public sale kicks in. The link I've been dropping in the chat all night. I'll drop it one more time for you guys. This is our link for the Knights of Legion community. You're able to go in there, click it. It's going to take you there to where we can get that discounted mint. And make sure I've got this right. The discounted one was 0.35, and then public when it comes out is 0.42, right?
A matter of fact, I think it's right there at 4.2. But looking at the daily sales, I believe it's going to even be higher when everything opens up again, because you know we have those tiers, and to me the reports look like that tier is going to, you know, tick a little higher when we open it up again.
Nice. Nice. Get in there. Take advantage of the discount. You don't want to miss it. It's horse racing. It's breeding. It's gambling. It's perfect partnership for our Legion Tavern. Get out there and do it. Troy, thank you so much, man, for making time and give me a better understanding of what it is I'm about to spend some money on when we get off of this call here.
Absolutely. And keep in touch. I'm around. I really appreciate everything that you're doing. You definitely seem like you have a great time and a great, you know, community, and let's have fun, make some money together.
Oh yeah. I mean, as soon as these things are ready to go, we'll be using them on Friday nights on our Tonight We Ride show. We'll make sure that this is being highlighted. And man, so excited to see the future of this project and our partnership. And don't worry, Troy, I'll definitely be sliding up in the DMs for us to get a follow-up to see what I'm doing wrong with mine. All right.
Absolutely. And again, yeah, it'd be my pleasure. And if you ever want to swing by Kentucky, let me know. Love to take you out.
Perfect. I appreciate you, Troy. Have a great night.
All right. Take care. Thanks.
Come on, guys. It's a no-brainer. Get yourselves in there. Hit the link. How many times do I got to throw it in there? Look, it's right here. Bam! This one right there. Right here at the bottom. Right there. Go hit it. We've got 16 hours left. The discounted price for the Knights of Legion, it seems to me, I don't know if you guys are watching the episode. I know I'm working, having a conversation, but it makes perfect sense that we should be purchasing these things. Get over there and do it. Guys, before we end the show, couple things I wanted to touch on. Like, hello, football season is back, baby. How you doing? Kicking it off tomorrow night watch party. Guys, Thurman Thomas and Chris Rabin of Action Network in the Discord. Oh, yeah, all night during the game. Let's go. It's back where we're all sitting there. And then I'm like, how do I type something good? And then I'm like, and I question myself 30 times. And then someone else comes in and asks the question I was going to ask because I took too long. And then all I end up saying is, how you doing? Come on. Am I the only one that has that problem? I mean, literally, that's me every time. Whatever. Anyways, guys, also tomorrow night, shout out to our Fight Night crew. Going to be up a little hour earlier, 7 p.m. Eastern, throwing, of course, all your UFC betting alpha that you need. Did you guys happen to see? And if you didn't and you missed it, the community came together. And by community, I mean PMix and GWR blessed our boys with their own Hasbullah NFT. You know what? Let me just share the video with you guys. Check it out.
UFC fans around the world have been waiting for. It's time!
So cool to see the community come together. Give that to the guys. Obviously, it's a new Twitter PFP. It's all over the place. Perfect home for those guys. Tune in tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern to check that out. Guys, right after this, like literally 20 minutes from now, it's KOD University. The guys are ready to talk all things college football. You know I'm going to leave here. I'm going to jump right over to that, and I'm going to get all the alpha I need. Appreciate everybody hanging out. Did you hear? Over 21 plus leagues in the KFFL, which means the Degen Huddle is going to be amazing to cover this week over week, starting next Tuesday. First episode of Degen Huddle. Guys, I hope the rest of you that haven't drafted yet, good luck. Knock it out. Let's have a great time. Let's make sure this is the best fantasy league that's ever happened in the metaverse. And on that note, appreciate everybody tuning in. How you doing? Peace.
Shining and boy, we winning. We about to make a killing. I don't care what you feeling. I know you wanna steal it. Want it, then come and get it. You want it, then come and get it.